I want to I want to explain a little more in depth about some of the experiences that I had. The reason I want to do that is because I know I'm not the only one that has a crazy life, but I know I'm not the only one that has had spirit experiences. I know that for a fact because now, being a medium, I'm in the position to help a lot of people that deal with that. And thank goodness I went through all of that hardship because, again, that was my training. I needed that experience. It also helped me learn discernment. I mean, you have to know discernment. You just have to understand discernment to know how to navigate this path, the path of the spirit world, so to say. But so I'm going to explain some of the things I went through. Buckle up. It was crazy. So there would be things like, I don't know if y'all remember those rings. Like it was a ring with another ring on top of it that spun, so it would make that sound. And I was laying in bed one night, and I heard that kind of sound, and it was coming from over by my bedroom door. And it startled me because it was pretty loud. About 3 seconds later, it flew over my head, whatever it was, but it flew because I felt the wind of it. And as it flew over my head, I heard the bzzz, Then it's over by the jewelry box. Then it's in the master bath. Then it's back above the bed. At the same time, I started seeing what looked like, I don't know, not really a shadow, more like ectoplasm. So ectoplasm is when energy is gathering. It's like when a spirit's going to manifest itself as an apparition, it will start with ectoplasm. So it gathers energy and so it can make itself more dense. And so it looked like ectoplasm, like kind of moving, like energy across my wall. Probably about a foot, one by one, foot by foot. That's how big it was. And about 30 seconds later, I was just watching it. It turned into this massive spider that had red eyes. And, remember, I'm 911, so I'm not going to call 911 because I'm going to sound nuts. So it was a lonely journey. Thank goodness I had a very close friend of mine and my partner that were being subjected to this. So they saw the stuff that I was experiencing, which that eased it. It made me feel not so alone in it, but it didn't take away the fear. Because trust me, when you're laying in bed in your safe space and you see a big, huge black spider with red eyes manifest out of ectoplasm, it's not fun. And less than 30 seconds later, it turned into a pig, and now it's on the floor. How do you explain that to people? You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't hallucinating. I was seeing this stuff, and I was terrified. I was terrified mainly because I didn't understand it. Is it harmful? Is it coming to get me? Is this demonic? Did I do something wrong? I've never conjured a spirit, nothing. Like, I've always been a good person. I don't do harm in the world. So there were a lot of questions I had. And the roughest part for me through this was, I was praying nonstop. Everybody I talked to was like, you got to pray, do this. That's all I'm doing. I'm on my knees begging God. I'm on my knees saying, God, like, come in my room. I need you. Like, I didn't understand at the time that the reason I didn't feel God was because I was in such a low frequency. That applies to everyone. So, if you're praying from a really low frequency, you're probably not going to feel the power of God because you're in a low frequency, right? God's a really high frequency. And so it's really... that's one thing I've learned through this journey. The answer to happiness in life is a high frequency. It's the answer to everything. When you're in a high frequency, you are completely immune from anything of low frequency. It's like you're invisible to them. But I didn't know any of that. I was in survival mode. I was truly in survival mode. I was suicidal. I was walking a fine line. I just, I didn't know what to do. So, man, as I'm talking about all of this and I'm thinking back on it, I'm thinking how brilliant this whole path was. It was absolutely brilliant. because I knew from day one when I started meditating, I met my spirit guides years ago. One of the first things, Lola is my primary spirit guide. She's Native American, very wise, very good teacher. But one of the first things she said to me was, every single thing that you share or teach in this world is because you will have experienced it first. Well, I had no idea how shitty and deep that was going to be. It wasn't shitty, right? Everything that happens to us happens for us, but it was not fun. But I understand the concept. I understand what she's saying. How can, like look at a rape victim or a rape advocate. How can you get on stage and advocate for that unless you've been through it, right? Kind of same concept, a little different story. But I had to walk the path to understand the path. And I had to walk the path to not only understand it, but to truly be fully committed to this path and have knowledge, because energy is energy. We have high frequencies and low frequencies. So, yeah. So, but that's just side note. But I had that buzzing thing, and then the thing turned into a pig, and then I'm just crying. I was just crying. What else am I going to do? Well, then all of a sudden, I feel, so, if you have like a cat or dog that is on your bed, and imagine them walking slow, like they're tiptoeing, but they have a little bigger paws than just a normal size dog or cat. It would probably be like a Great Dane paw, but they're tiptoeing. So they're slowly rolling the back heel. Not that they would do this. This would be more like a human, but rolling the back heel down the foot up to the ball of the foot. And you feel the impression in the bed. Well, that's what was happening. And like something was on my bed. And I mean, now I'm just like, I'm at my wit's end. I'm yelling, not just St. Michael. I'm telling St. Michael get his whole army because I need everybody. I'm laughing now, but it wasn't funny. I was begging God, send me whoever you have, because what do I do? What is this thing going to do? Is it going to harm me? What's its intent? I didn't understand any of it. And then I had what felt like, it was like 2.5 inches tall, some small little being that walked on 2 feet, not 4, and it would walk up almost like it didn't want to startle me, and it would walk up onto my pillow, and it would always kind of rest or sit at the crown above my head. And then I'm like, what is this thing doing? I called it the Watcher. I felt like this was not a human, well, you get what I just said. Of course it's not a human entity. It's 2 inches tall. But I just knew it was, it was like keeping track of what I'm doing, or, I called it the Watcher intuitively. I just knew to call it that. So here's the weird thing. So if I would move suddenly, like say I'm laying on my left side, and I suddenly kind of move and to turn over, I would startle it. And you could feel it kind of jump. And do you know how shitty of a feeling that is, to be laying in your bed that's supposed to be your safe space, and you just startled some 2-inch tall alien or whatever being that you can't see, and it's like now it's in your space and you can't even tell it to leave because it's not listening. It was the worst time of my life. I mean, it was the worst time of my life. I was beyond scared. I was beyond devastated. I felt abandoned. I don't have enough adjectives and descriptions to go into it. It was just a really tough time. I would go to sleep sometimes, and the next thing I know, it felt like I was hovering above my bedroom, like at the ceiling, and then it felt like I was dropped onto my bed, just violently dropped. And because I'd bounced on the bed, and I'm like, there's no way you can tell me I just did some kind of astral travel, but I bounced in the bed, I mean, there was so much. I had, oh my gosh, let me think. God, I could come up with some stuff, because the list is so long. The things that really stick out at me, though, that were so scary was, like, things that would startle me, the thing in my head. I actually got used to that thing around my head. You know why? Because I didn't have a choice. It's there. And so it just became part of my world. I think the thing that bothered me the most was I had always felt God in my life. I'd always wanted God in my life. And let me say this to people that don't believe in God, because for whatever reason right now on earth, there is an anti-God movement going on some level with some people. And look, to each his own. I do not tell people, I don't push my beliefs on people. In fact, when I have met people that consider themselves atheists, I'm intrigued because I want to know their story. And I always ask, what made you become atheist? And their answer actually makes sense to me, which is because of what they've been taught through religion, this fearful God and this, God that's going to harm them and blah, blah, blah. And they don't believe that. It doesn't resonate. So I kind of get that. I get the questioning all of it. Now, being an atheist, I guess that's just where they are. I don't have any reason to judge that. But I understand the logic behind it. But here's what I was going to say. For people that don't believe in God, and one more thing I want to add. I do not. And I do not feel like God is some bearded man in the sky, waiting to judge us. Nope. God is a force of love. It's energy. It's powerful. It's like, there aren't words. It's not a male. It's energy. It's right now. Here's something all the females don't like. Right now, with the age we're in, God is actually female because we're in a predominantly like more feminine energy. So there you go. So God is a she. So I'm going to refer to her as I'm going to refer to her as a her. But I've always known that, even as a child, because kids don't know how to whisper, but I made my best attempt, or maybe not, but I would sit in church and they'd teach and I'd say, they're teaching this wrong, and my mom's like, shh, and I'm like, nope, but I knew it. Screaming sinner, this, and you're going to hell. None of it resonated. None of it. Every time they would talk about Jesus and his teachings and love, like I could melt into it, like that felt right. So, but like I said, I don't consider God some man with, some gavel waiting to judge. That's not what God is. God is light and love. So everything comes from the Creator, comes from light. This is just my belief.